Good morning. It's been about 2 weeks since the end of Dopamine Focused Warrior, the 5-week dopamine fasting protocol. I'm just out for a morning walk. It's my day off. So I thought I'd enjoy a bit of fresh air. So 2 weeks later, post dopamine fast. How has my life changed? Have I gone straight back to addictive behaviors? Well, not exactly. I've tried to reincorporate some of the activities that I wasn't allowing myself during the dopamine fast back into my life, which include things like listening to music and podcasts, gaming, and yeah, I will admit I have indulged a little bit in some junk food. And what's been really interesting is my experience trying to incorporate these things into my life without overindulging, while still staying to a routine of moderation. So let's touch on each of them. So first of all, junk food. I mentioned in my last video I had a bit of a slip up where, I ate some junk food. I consumed a bit more YouTube than I was planning to. That's happened 2 or 3 times since the end of the dopamine fast. But the key difference is that even since I've been off the dopamine fast, I'm just much more conscious and aware of what I'm doing in my day-to-day life. It's not so unconscious anymore. I'm sure you can relate. Like, most of the time when you engage in addictive behaviors, it's as if some unconscious part of you takes over, some unconscious force takes the wheel basically, and then you're essentially trapped like a kidnapped passenger on this moving vehicle of life. It's a bit of a crude way to put it, but that's really what it feels like. But I feel 100% conscious and aware of what I'm doing. When I chose to indulge in those activities, I was 100% conscious of what I was doing. All right, well, I feel like having a bit of chocolate. Let's see how it makes me feel. So in a sense, I have a much more experimental approach in these things. It's more so like seeing how they make me feel, as opposed to feeling that I compulsively have to do them. Like, yeah, I had some chocolate specifically. I'm not so much into candy or lollies or anything like that. It's more so chocolate really has been what I've tended to overindulge in, like chocolate, ice cream, things like that. I've not had any ice cream. For, like, let's say I had a slab of chocolate, I would pretty much like just eat the whole slab of chocolate. Whereas this time around, it's like I had a single row of chocolate, and I was like, yeah, I'll leave it at that. Which that wouldn't have happened before. So definitely I've become much more aware of the impact that these addictive behaviors were having on my day-to-day life. The biggest one for me by far has been digital recreation, including YouTube consumption, listening to too much music. I mean, I've reincorporated listening to music and podcasts back in my life, right? And music, nothing wrong with music. Music's great, but I find I can get to the point where I do find myself, like, whenever I'm out doing something boring, I'll just find myself listening to music, and it's like, music's great, but just being out in the present moment, listening to the ambient sounds of nature, it's also great. The main times that I've been listening to music since has just been during work, because work, it's like a boring, repetitive routine, so I think that's all right. But it's like, when I'm out here taking a walk, I want to be listening to the ambient sounds of nature, as opposed to listening to a podcast or music or anything like that. So it's about taking it one step at a time, not just saying, oh, music is bad and I'll have to cut it out completely. Like, dopamine fasting, I think, is really, really great in terms of giving you awareness, because it's like, sometimes there's this saying, you don't know what you have until you lose it. And let's just open this gate here, and I'm just walking with Laura, by the way. And yeah, come on, let's go. And yeah, the same, let's close this. Same thing can apply to addictions, right? You don't know the impact that addictions have on your life until you really cut them out, because then you can see the difference. So what's my life like with this addictive behavior versus without it? So the same thing can apply. So I think having a clean break from addictive behaviors is like probably the most important part of overcoming them. And that's why dopamine fasting, NoFap, all of these protocols, all of these protocols that involve abstaining from the addictive behavior completely. I think it's very important. That's exactly the reason why, when you're stuck in addictive behaviors, why it's so difficult to get to a place of just using it in moderation, because like your brain doesn't know what it's like to be without that behavior anymore. There you go. Yeah, and that's why when comparing an approach of moderation versus abstinence, why abstinence I think is much more powerful. And that's also why when you're addicted, it's so difficult to consume in moderation. Like, it's definitely possible with certain behaviors, right? Like, I think with junk food, like, it is possible to get to the space where I can occasionally have something, or like, but do it in moderation, right? It's possible. But then there's also certain addictions where it's like I want to cut them out completely, like porn, for example. That's something that I don't ever want to consume, not in moderation. I don't want to consume it at all. I want it cut out of my life, right? But certain other things like gaming, all right, I can occasionally play video games. It's up to the individual. It's like up to you. Like, you may choose to cut out things like gaming completely. You may choose to decide, I'm never having anything with a high sugar content again. It's up to you. But I think having that period of abstaining from these addictive behaviors, I think that's very important to really giving you a chance to understand what's life like without these behaviors, and what do I overall prefer. So Dopamine Focused Warrior. This dopamine fasting protocol is really helping me to make some lasting changes in my life. The other two dopamine fasting protocols that I've done from the Dopamine Focused Fasting course, they were great. I really enjoyed them. There was a 2-day one, like, which you pretty much could just be done over like a weekend or any 2 days. And then there was a flies. And then there was a 7-day one, which I also documented both of them on this channel. I really enjoyed those as well. They were stricter than dopamine. These flies, man. The flies are already horrendous. They both had stricter rules than the one I just did. But overall, I have to say Dopamine Focused Warrior is my favorite protocol so far, because I think fucking flies, I hate them, honestly. Like, bro, I fucking swallowed one. Oh. Honestly, like, I don't hate many things, okay? I don't hate many animals, but flies, man, oh, I hate them. Fuck them. Oh man, it's a beautiful day. It's beautiful out here, perfect temperature, but these flies, oh god, I need to wear my fly net. Isn't it, Lara? But yeah, Dopamine Focused Warrior, bro, sorry, I'm struggling here. Like, these flies just, oh. I've bought myself a fly net that you can wear over your head, because yeah, the flies here get horrendous in summer. It's not even summer yet, but yeah, the days are getting very hot. It's very dry, so they're out in force. So excuse me if I'm struggling to stay on topic and talk. I'm just trying to stay sane. Anyway, the Dopamine Focused Warrior is by far my favorite protocol so far, because it's much more sustainable in its approach. I think like it can really be done over the long term, and yeah, I'm definitely planning on doing the protocol again, and also trying out longer ones. Like, there's one longer protocol which has some similar rules to Dopamine Focused Warrior that I'm planning on trying out next. I believe it's a 12-week dopamine fast, which I will talk about in the future. So overall, I can highly recommend Dopamine Focused Warrior. I can highly recommend dopamine fasting in general, and I need to give credit where credit is due. Definitely go and check out Scandinavian and Bob's YouTube channel if you haven't already. I know most of you are already subscribed. And yeah, go and check out his course, Dopamine Focused Fasting, if you're really interested in learning more how it works, because all the information I got on dopamine fasting I learned from that course. Really great breakdown information, and all the protocols, including Dopamine Focused Warrior, that I've tried, I got from there. I didn't come up with any of it. It's all he who came up with it. I just tried it out just to see what impact it has on my life, documented my journey, and yeah, I plan on doing more with the other protocols as well. NoFap and dopamine fasting, really abstaining from addictive behaviors. What it's really helped me to do, get back to the present moment and really understand what it is that I actually want out of life. Like when I've been stuck in all these addictive behaviors, I've just felt lost, confused, not understanding what it is I want out of life. And everyday life just feels like such a difficult task. Whereas now, I'm much more focused on the present, taking things slower, one step at a time, and just being out here, you know, in nature, minus the flies. I enjoy it. I really do enjoy it. And I'm also much more emotional. Well, no, not really. I'll reword that a bit. It's not that I'm more emotional, but I think I'm much more in tune with my emotions. We all feel emotions, right? But with those heavy layers of addiction, it's like it's like so difficult to understand like how it is that I'm feeling in the present moment. Like I'll just feel numb to my feelings, numb to everything, and then it'll get to like a tipping point where like all that anger, all that rage will just build up, and then it'll all come pouring out at the most inconvenient time. And it's like same with sadness, you know, I'll become sadness will just build up, and then I'll get into this severe state of depression. And yeah, honestly, like the more I do NoFap, the more I do dopamine fasting, that becomes less and less of an issue, because like I'll have ups and downs. Like I've had plenty of difficult days, right? But it's like I'll have those difficult days. Like yesterday, for example, was quite a difficult day. I felt a strong pull to go towards addictive behaviors, right? But I had that day, I felt those emotions, and now today's a new day, so I'm not holding on to it so much. So yeah, that's basically everything I want to say for today. I hope you all enjoyed. Fuck flies. Anyway, I had a drink of water. I'll walk back through this mob of flies. And apart from that, make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Give the video a like, all of that. And I'll see you all in the next video. Ciao.